welcome back to Tea or Coffee. I'm glad you are still watching, and fortunately, I'm not here alone this morning. Good morning.
I honestly thought you said unfortunately. I was going to say what?
Wow.
Good morning. Hello, good morning, and welcome to the show. This is Tea or Coffee on our Impact Television. I am Oluwakemi Edward, and it is my delight to welcome you to another edition of Tea or Coffee. Even more so, I'm very happy knowing fully well that you've chosen to kickstart your morning with tea or coffee. I keep saying tea or coffee. I think I feel like taking tea this morning.
Tea
I'm not
or
even joking.
coffee?
No, but I really wish I could take tea.
Yeah, I'm on the tea side as well, actually. So I was,
coffee.
yes. Did you sleep well?
I didn't sleep
Did you have a good
well.
rest? Oh, why?
I did not sleep well.
Why, what's up?
My tummy just kept on hurting.
Really?
Me. Oh, so I didn't
bless
sleep
you.
well.
Bless
Thank
you. I hope you feel a bit better.
But you? Did you sleep well?
Yeah, I was just about to say, how was your night?
Yeah.
So so someone actually, because for a while now, I've not really understand. I didn't really understand why you can't ask.
How was your night? Yeah.
So someone actually explained it to me,
Okay.
saying that that's a question for sex workers.
What?
Yeah, like that's a question for people. That's a question for people who essentially work at night. And I was like, what? That's very interesting.
Actually, it is very interesting.
Yeah, but then it began to make sense for me, because how was your night means that you've obviously been
working at night.
Yeah, you've been up all night. So you can tell me how your night was.
How your night was.
It's like
actually,
saying,
it makes sense.
how are you? How was your day?
Yeah,
so
it actually
how was
does
your day
make sense.
means,
oh, my day went well. I did this and that. And
so
then,
you can't. So now I understand. That,
well, I'm happy
I shouldn't
for
be asking you.
I'm really happy for you.
We live and learn out here.
That's what Tea or Coffee is all about.
So talking about learning, understanding new phrases and understanding their meanings and whatnot. Like, how was your night? Like, not to say that again. We're actually going to be discussing commonly mispronounced phrases. We're going to be learning. We're going to be looking at commonly mispronounced phrases. Commonly, I would also say just mispronounced, but maybe miscommunicated or misread.
Even misspelt.
Misspelt, yes.
Yes, misspelt.
Yes.
You can
Some
miss a word
misspelled.
and in your mind you're thinking that, oh, this is the right spelling.
And I feel like it's because, obviously over a while you keep saying these things, and, and then it's like particular gospel songs that like we don't really know what they're saying, but we just
sing
it
along
to like the Nigerian English.
And at times when you actually hear people singing it in your head, you think that, wow, this person knows the song, whereas this person is saying rubbish.
It's not just even gospel songs, just general songs as well. So same thing. I feel like I see the same thing happening with these particular phrases.
Yeah.
Because. Well, we've been saying this for a long time. Okay, it's like a can, the canned drinks.
Yeah.
Apparently when you clock it, when you open it, you're supposed to turn, like what a can drink is like in it. So when you open it
like this.
There has this little round hole in it.
Yeah.
You're supposed to turn it and put your straw inside it.
You're supposed to turn it.
Yes.
But a lot of people just do like this. Just flip it up like this.
Yeah. So you're supposed to turn it and then put your straw inside and then you drink it like that. So yeah, it's the same thing. Very interesting analogy.
I think that in English language is called, is it colloquial now?
Colloquials?
Yeah.
Really?
Like something that is widely accepted, but it is actually very wrong.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to be looking at some of these phrases this morning. I'm really excited about this for some reason.
Actually, because do you know why?
Yeah.
I would say my own reason.
Yeah.
I actually say some of these words, and until I see them or somebody corrects me, I might actually not know. But anyways, let's just read the intro.
Yes.
And the intro here says, here is a list of common phrases that people frequently get wrong. Some of them aren't completely our fault because the incorrect way of saying them has actually become the norm. But if you say the incorrect phrases, you are still wrong. So just because it has become the norm does not make it right. And the very first one that we have for you here is saying, the very first phrase we have for you is, I could care less. And this write-up is letting us know that it's actually wrong. The correct phrase is, I couldn't care less. Saying that you could care less about a topic implies that you do care about it at least a little. What you usually mean is that you don't care about the topic at all. And I couldn't care less. Actually, this makes a lot of sense. This makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
You saying I could care less actually means you care.
You care.
You care a little.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
But I couldn't care less. I don't care at all.
At all. Like you don't
Zero
give,
cares.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not worried. You're not concerned.
Yeah.
You're not moved. You just don't care.
Yeah, I couldn't care less. All right, so the next one here says one in the same. So it's actually one and the same, not one in the same. When you really sit and think about it, one in the same doesn't mean anything at all. The correct phrase, one and the same, means that two things are the same. So like tomato, tomato, you know, spellings, pronunciations for tomato. Some people say tomato. So, you know, when you're having a conversation about someone, like, okay, so, yeah, there are two ways to say tomato. You can say tomato and tomato, but they're one and the same.
I think and is a conjunction.
Yeah.
So it's just the and that makes both of them come together.
Yeah.
But they're actually separate things.
Yeah.
But you're saying one in the same. Something in itself that is the same. Do you understand? It doesn't make any sense, actually.
English
there is
stuff.
no... Yeah, English is hard. All right, and this next one says, nip it in the butt. Actually, confession time. I say this a lot.
In the butt.
I say this a lot. The correct phrase is nip it in the bud.
Bud.
Nipping something in the bud means that you're putting an end to it before it has a chance to grow or start. Nipping something in the bud, however, means you're biting its you're biting its behind.
And that's awkward. That's weird.
So I think this particular one is called an egg corn.
Okay.
An egg corn is just like what I said earlier, a word that sounds similar
Egg
to
corn.
that egg corn, yeah. I don't know if I'm pronouncing, but
Interesting.
egg corn.
Okay.
EGGCORN.
Okay.
It's called an egg corn.
Interesting.
So a word that sounds similar, just because you've probably not seen it in print or anything, but you just hear people say it. And then, you know, at times, people's pronunciation, it depends on your tongue. It's different. You might be saying, nip it in the butt. But what I am hearing is butt. But what you're actually saying is bud. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So I have mistaken your pronunciation of bud for butt. Yeah.
You know, you can see that. Some people might think that, you know, because it's the last bit of the flower of the branch.
Yeah.
You can think that maybe that's the bud.
Oh.
So it could. Do you understand? Very interesting, isn't it?
I like the fact that we're actually having this conversation this morning.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to the next one.
All right, so the next one here says, you've got another thing coming. The correct phrase is, you've got another think coming. Okay? This is one of those phrases where the incorrect usage usually actually does make sense and has become its own phrase, but it's still technically wrong. In fact, most people don't even know the correct phrase unless they look it up. The correct version really only makes sense if you use the entire sentence. If that's what you think, you've got another thing
Actually.
coming. So there's like a prefix?
This is also an egg corn.
Really? There's like, I didn't even know there was a prefix. Like, if that's what you think, there was like...
Yeah.
There's a whole phrase.
But you know the funny part? The wrong phrase is actually, it makes more literal sense.
Yeah, you've got another thing coming.
You've got another thing coming.
If you think you're going to run a
If you
fast
think
one.
you're going to I'm going to share this mug with you, then you better think twice. You've got another thing.
Hey!
You've got another thing coming. We all say, we got another thing coming. You got another, please, what thing is coming your way?
What thing is coming?
You know? So it's actually, you got another thing coming.
But the right up is actually saying thing also works.
No, thing also works. It depends on the context that you're using it, which I cannot cite an example right now, but you got another thing coming. In this context is the right phrase. All right, and the next one here says, each one worse than the next. Unless you can foresee the future, each one worse than the next doesn't make any sense. What makes sense is each one worse than the last. The problem with the former phrase is that it isn't logical. For example, you can't compare two bicycles until you've tested them both. So logically, you would compare the current bicycle to the last bike you tested. This actually makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Like each one worse than the next. Now, to my own understanding, next implies something that is upcoming.
Yeah.
Something that is coming, but has not come.
Yeah.
It is coming on its way. So, be it a situation, an experience, it is still coming. It's something you've not experienced.
Yeah.
It's something you've not seen. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So you saying each one worse than the next is actually wrong because you've not seen the next.
Yeah.
So you saying each one worse than the last, meaning you're comparing the present with what you've experienced.
And then
Do you understand?
Yeah, I think it's what's even funny is that each one worse than the next is so cynical.
Actually.
Yeah, but each one worse than the last is very optimistic.
Actually, I think.
If you think about it,
I think
like,
this one makes.
Yeah, each one worse than the next is like you're saying that, man, it's gonna keep getting worse. It's just gonna keep getting bad. Because each one worse than the next, as in future. So
actually,
like the perspective you're seeing on your future is just bad, like so cynical.
Yeah.
But then when you're saying each one was worse than the last, you are hopeful that the next one
will be better.
Much better.
English language, guys.
Okay, so another mispronounced phrase is he did good. And actually, it's the word good that's actually the issue here. So the correct phrase is he did well. The phrases good and well get interchanged so much that some people think they are actually interchangeable words. They are not. If you're ever confused about which to use, here's a tip. Use well as an adverb, that is words used to describe verbs, and good as an adjective, that is words used to describe nouns. For example, the dog runs well, or he is a good dog. So if I'm to use it on Kemi, I'll say something like, Kemi does her job well. Very interesting.
Like interesting. All right, I'm moving on. And this next one here says, I'm giving you lead way. So my hands are also up here. I used to say lead way. Please,
lead way.
What is
lead way? This one, I used to say leeway.
I actually used to say lead way. So lead way actually isn't even a word. Actually, okay, it isn't a word. Let me read it right now.
It's a brand.
Leadway actually it is a brand. Leadway actually isn't a word. Leeway, which is correct, means extra space and freedom. True. Leeway means space.
Yeah.
So say for example, Ade, I am giving you leeway to explore your potential. I am giving you enough space to explore your potential. But me saying, Ade, I am giving you leadway to explore your potential, I think it does not even make any sense. I think it will make sense if I put it in a sentence like, Ade, lead the way and I'll follow you.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Interesting.
Okay, so the next one here, this one is actually very common. And it's axe. I feel like Kemi does this one too.
What? Yes, I actually do.
So you don't ask for things. You ask for them. I'm not sure when the S and K got switched, but it happens all the time when people talk. You ask for things. You don't ask for things. You ask for things.
So it is like this. When people are definitely writing it down, it is ASK.
Yeah.
But when they are saying it.
When you are saying it.
Why are you saying me? Don't be rude. I mean, but actually, when people are writing it down, hardly will you see them make the mistake of replacing the S. Replacing the S with the K.
Yeah.
But when they're saying it, you hear them say, Ade, let me ask you a question. Okay, so it's actually a tongue twister.
Oh my days. All right, so we're going to ask you to go allow us to give us leeway to give us this break. Hey. All right, we're going to take a very short break. We're going to when we come back from break, we're going to continue with mispronounced phrases. Don't go anywhere.
We are still discussing commonly misappropriate words, phrases that we often use wrongly. And I mean, we've taken a couple, like one in the same, could care less, nip it in the butt, right? You've got another thing coming, is think. Each one worse than the next is last. He did good, he said he did well. And I'm giving you leadway. It's actually not leadway, it is leeway, which means space. And then I would like to ask. It is not ask, it is ask. So the S comes before the K. And now this next one says, I made a complete 360-degree change in my life. This is wrong. Instead, say, I made a complete 180-degree change in my life. People say they've made a complete 360-degree change in their life to imply that they've completely changed from the way they used to be. However, going 360-degree means that you return to the exact same place you started, which would mean you didn't even change at all. A 180-degree change would mean that you are the complete opposite, which is what most people are trying to say. Okay, so I think I understand this.
This one is funny.
A circle is 360 degree. So half of a circle is 180 degree. So if you're saying I made a complete a 360 degree change in my life, you're simply implying that you're back to the initial position that you started from, because it is 360 degree and you're going round round and circles.
You have not made any change.
So you've not made any change. But if you were to say, I made a 180-degree change in my life, you're saying that, you know, you've taken the opposite direction of where you used to start, or where you began. Do you understand? So it's not where you started, but the 180-degree change implies that it's a different direction that you've taken, and not the same direction, you know, that you would have originally taken.
But if you say Ade has made a 360 change, that means Ade has not changed anything, actually.
You're not supposed to say Ade has. Okay, not
that's like an oxymoron,
now.
Actually. 360 change.
360 change.
Yeah, because like if you're doing 360, you're doing full circle.
Yeah, you're doing full circle.
When they say everything comes around full circle, that means that, you know, when they use the phrase something like everything comes around full circle, it's like karma. Like what you do
come back to you.
So full circle just means that, you know, circle of life, that kind of thing, you know, that everything comes around back to, you know, what goes around comes around. But if you say 180 in this particular context, it means that you've gone to the other side, because, you know, 360 is comprised of two 180s. Yeah, so there's one 180 now you've changed your life, and you're now on the other side.
On the side of the 360. So Ade has gone 360.
Okay, why are we using Ade's life?
Because I don't know, you're the one seated here, so you're the very first person that comes to mind. Okay. Anyways, let's move on.
So the next mispronounced phrase that we have for you this morning is first come, first serve. The way this phrase is written, it implies that the first person who arrives to a certain restaurant or party is also the one who has to serve all of the other guests. The correct way to the correct way to say this phrase, rather, is to say, so as to avoid unexpectedly becoming a server, would be first come, first served. Okay, so first come, first serve implies that you're going there to actually serve. And first come, first serve is actually usually related to the guest of a particular occasion and not the host. So first come, first served means that, you know, served. That so then
essentially it's past tense.
Yeah. And so served, and then it's serve would be for the size of the coin that is receiving, that is going to serve.
Okay.
That is going to do the service. Served would be on the side of the coin that is related to the person that is given the service. So that is receiving the service, rather. So to serve means that you are giving a service. To be served means that you are receiving a service. So it's first come, first served.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. All right, and the next one here says, worst comes to worst. According to the New York Times, the first known iteration of this phrase was worst come to the worst. Published in 1596, it indicated a hypothetical worst-case scenario turning into a real-life worst-case scenario. However, the phrase has evolved over time, and today, worst comes to worst is more commonly used to indicate the possibility of a bad situation becoming a terrible one. This makes a lot of sense too, because when you're saying worst comes to worst, can a bad situation become a bad situation when it's already a bad situation?
So it's only going to get badder.
So it can only get badder.
But badder is not correct.
Is grammatically wrong. Yeah.
So it's worst.
So it's worst.
Or worst.
So, but in this
so
since worst is
so can you say bad comes to worst and worst comes to worst?
Yeah.
And worst
bad comes to worst. Worst comes to worst.
And worst comes to completely terrible. And completely terrible
worst
comes
actually
to
means
utterly
terrible too.
Diabolically. Diabolical. Okay,
but anyways, this makes a lot of sense. So when you say worst comes to worst, meaning a bad situation can actually become terrible or can go out of hand, something like that. But when you're saying worst comes to worst, you're simply saying that a bad situation is bad.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move away from that particular wrong phrase and we move on to the next one that says waiting on someone. They say it's actually very wrong. When someone asks you while you're standing around doing nothing, you should tell them that you're waiting for your friend. When you're working in a restaurant or as a waiter or waitress and your friend is a customer, only then can you say you're waiting on your friend. The two phrases don't mean the same thing. Just remember that if you say that you're waiting on a friend, it means you're serving your friend, which is probably not what you mean. So essentially...
that's interesting. Okay. All right. So the next one here says pique my interest. Pique my interest. It certainly seems like the word pique makes sense here, which sounds as though it means to heighten interest after all. However, pique my interest is a correct phrase and it means to stimulate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Actually,
okay.
I know this because, I mean, P-E-A-K means a total different thing. But when you say P-I-Q-U-E, which of course some people pronounce as P-K.
P-Q.
Or P-Q.
P-Q.
No, nobody ever says that. But pique, it's actually pronounced as pique.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So, meaning you're exciting someone's interest, you're arousing someone's interest, you're stimulating someone's interest in something.
Yeah.
But P-E-A-K.
Okay, so I actually just checked the meaning of pique, as in P-I-Q-U-E, and it says arouse, as in interest or curiosity. So a phrase can be with his scientific curiosity piqued. He was looking forward to being able to analyze his find. So yeah, okay, so pique. But
like
you know, the writer said
someone's interest in
the writer said pique can also seems right to a lot of people, and I think that because of what the word pique means, I don't think it's completely like bad to use P-E-A-K, because pique actually suggests the peak of something, like heightened. Yeah. So pique my interest. Pique. P-I-Q-U-E is saying arouse my interest, while P-E-A-K is saying heighten my interest. It's kind of the same thing to me.
But I think it makes more literal sense when you actually use P-I-Q-U-E.
Within this context?
Yes, in this context.
Okay. All right.
I like to pick at his interest.
All right. So pique, dictionary definition of P-E-A-K is the pointed top of a mountain.
Exactly.
Or the point of highest. At its peak.
That's
so
what you
so it's more
mean.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're actually different things.
Now I see the difference. P-E-A-K is a noun.
Oh, okay.
P-I-Q-U-E is a verb. That's why, and you want someone to pique your interest. To actively arouse your interest. We live and learn. I like
English
this program.
language. This is English 101.
I'm telling you.
Okay. So it's not P-E-A-K, my people. It's actually P-I-K, and it is pronounced pique. just like P-I-C-K. You know, there are words that sound so similar.
Yeah.
What are they called? I can't remember. Maybe when I remember. But anyways, moving on from that to the last one we have for you here, it says scot-free. And the spelling of this, the wrong phrase is S-C-O-T-T, S-C-O-T-T. And that's actually a name of a person, to be honest. Okay, and the write-up here says, unless you're describing a place with no guys named Scott in it, the phrase you're probably looking for is scot-free, meaning unpunished or unharmed. This also makes a lot of sense. So actually, you still, even if you say scot-free, you know, people might actually find it hard to, like if you're implying the S-C-O-T-T and you say it, people might find it hard to tell or state that you're pronouncing it wrongly. Because it's still the same pronunciation, Scott and Scott.
Right,
do you understand?
Yeah.
But when you write it, when you see it in print, that's when you know that somebody has misspelled the, what's it called? So it is S-C-O-T-T.
Yeah.
Scott is the name of a person. I don't know if you've come across.
Yeah. So it's like
S-C-O-T is like you saying with the free to it is like you saying you're letting this person go unharmed or unscratched, or you're letting this person go free without any harm, essentially.
It's sort of like a homophone, as in, you know.
That's actually, homophones are words that sound similar.
Yeah.
Oh, English.
Yeah, it's kind of like a homophone, but it's not, because Scott is actually someone's name as a TT, while the single T here actually refers to, you know, someone going unpunished.
So essentially it is, it sounds similar but have different meanings.
Yeah.
So it is not S-C-O-T-T, it is S-C-O, I think, S-C-O-T with a hyphen, free.
Yeah, so I'm actually seeing the origin of this particular phrase, scot-free, and it's saying it's relating to tax. You know, when people don't pay tax back in the day, they usually say shot-free. But then, you know, over time, it became scot-free. So, you know, in the earlier 16th century, the word was always shot-free. You know, when
like S-H-O-T.
Yeah, and that's usually to do with when you maybe evade tax or you don't have to pay tax. But you know, now it's relating to scot-free. Now it has changed to scot-free. Interesting.
English.
Scot is actually another word for tax. Okay, like very interesting.
S-C-O-T-T.
It's another
or S-C-O-T. Which one?
S-C-O-T.
S-C-O-T is another word for
a payment. It's the dictionary definition is a payment corresponding to a modern tax rate or other assessed contribution. So when you say scot-free, it's actually really related to tax. You know, and you know, a lot of people, and I'm not surprised that it is a Brit word, because obviously England has very tax high. They pay a lot of tax.
So yes, these are the common ones that I can think of right now. I'm actually still trying to like wrap my head around some of the words that we just took right now. Because
like which one?
Spitting image, of course, now that I know, it makes a lot of sense, but I mean, you just saying it's the spitting image sounds.
Say ask.
Ask, Ade, ask. Ask. And I made a 180-degree change in my life, meaning I've taken the opposite direction. Like, I like the fact that we did this, because there's some things that even I didn't know. You know. So yes, that's all we have on this conversation. I hope you really learned a lot from this conversation, like I did, like they did.
Yes, indeed.
And of course, Tea or Coffee has more interesting conversations for you this morning, so we do not want you to go anywhere. We'll be right back with you after this break.